The credit monitoring alert hit my phone at 2:47 a.m., and I knew my was about to get complicated. I'm Trevor Callahan, 32, Air Force Staff Sergeant, stationed at RAF Lakenheath in the United Kingdom. Been deployed here for 8 months now, maintaining F-35 avionics systems. The base stays busy around the clock, but nothing prepared me for what that notification would uncover. The alert was simple enough. New account opened. PayPal. Credit inquiry processed. I stared at my iPhone screen in the dim light of my dorm room. The timestamp showed the account was created 3 days ago. I never opened a PayPal account. My first thought was identity theft. Happens to deployed personnel more than people realize. Scammers target us because we're overseas, harder to verify things quickly. I pulled up my banking app, checked my accounts. Everything looked normal. No unauthorized charges. No missing funds. But the credit alert bothered me. I screenshot it, then opened my credit monitoring app. The inquiry was there, clear as day. PayPal Inc. hard pull on my credit. Score dropped 6 points. I called the customer service number. Automated system picked up. After navigating the menu maze, I reached a human. Sir, I show an account opened in your name on November 15th. Address listed as 1247 Maple Street, Columbus, Ohio. I'd never lived in Columbus. Never even visited Ohio. Can you tell me what verification documents were used? Driver's license and social security number match our records. Account is currently active with a negative balance of $437. My stomach dropped. Someone had my license information. My social security number. They'd opened credit in my name and defaulted immediately. I need this account frozen. I'm deployed military, and this is fraud. I'll flag the account for investigation, sir. You'll need to file a police report and send us documentation. Police report from a UK base for fraud committed in Ohio. This was going to be a nightmare. I hung up and sat on my bunk. The base was quiet except for the distant hum of aircraft maintenance. My mind raced through possibilities. Who had access to my personal information? My documents were locked in my security drawer. My wallet stayed with me always. Then I remembered something. Last month, before, I'd helped my squad mate Marcus Rivera move apartments. He'd asked to borrow my truck. I'd left my registration and insurance cards in the glove compartment. Both had my social security number printed on them. Marcus had been acting strange lately, avoiding me in the chow hall, taking different routes around base. I'd attributed it to stress. Everyone handles separation differently. But now, staring at that credit alert, pieces started connecting in ways I didn't want to consider. I opened my laptop and logged into my credit union's website, started reviewing statements from the past 3 months, looking for anything unusual. Any pattern I'd missed. That's when I found the second anomaly. 3 months earlier, Marcus Rivera had been my closest friend on base. We'd deployed together twice, shared foxholes in Afghanistan, trusted each other with our lives. Staff Sergeant Rivera was the kind of soldier you wanted watching your six. Calm under pressure. Reliable. When my grandmother died during our last, he'd covered my duties so I could video call the funeral service. That's why I didn't hesitate when he asked for help moving apartments in August. His lease was ending. New place across town required immediate occupancy. I drove my truck to his old apartment on a Saturday morning. Just need to grab the heavy stuff, he'd said. Couch, dresser, boxes. We loaded furniture for 3 hours. Hot Texas sun beating down. Between trips, we stopped for water breaks. I left my keys in the truck. Registration and insurance documents in the glove compartment. Standard practice when helping friends move. Marcus had seemed distracted that day. Kept checking his phone. Made several calls in Spanish when he thought I wasn't listening. I'd assumed it was family drama. His ex-wife had been demanding higher child support payments. Money's tight, he'd mentioned during one of our breaks. Divorce lawyer cleaned me out, behind on everything. I'd offered to lend him cash. He'd declined. Said he had it handled. Now, staring at my laptop screen in my RAF Lakenheath barracks, I was seeing exactly how he'd handled it. The second anomaly was a PayPal account, open September 3rd. Same Columbus, Ohio address. Same fraudulent information, but this one showed transaction history, 17 purchases over 6 weeks, gaming equipment, electronics, clothing, total charges $2,400, all shipped to that fake Columbus address. I screenshot everything, saved the to an encrypted folder. My hands were shaking slightly. Not from fear. From controlled anger. I called PayPal's fraud department. Different company, same story. Account opened with my stolen information. Currently in collections for non-payment. Sir, we show the account was accessed from multiple IP addresses. Texas, California, and overseas military networks. Overseas military networks. That confirmed my suspicions. I hung up and walked to the base communications center. Needed to check something. The duty officer let me access the network logs. Took 20 minutes of searching, but I found what I was looking for. September 3rd, 0347 hours. PayPal.com accessed from Terminal 7. User login, Rivera, Marcus A. September 15th, 1523 hours. Same terminal, same user. Different website this time. The credit company that had called me. Marcus had used base computers to commit identity theft. Used my personal information to open fraudulent accounts, then defaulted on everything, destroying my credit while I was deployed and unable to monitor my finances. I printed the network logs. Violation of protocol, but I needed. Folded the papers and tucked them into my cargo pocket. Back in my barracks, I started building a timeline. Cross-referenced dates with duty rosters. Marcus had been on night shift during most of the fraudulent activity. Perfect cover for using base computers when fewer people were around. My phone buzzed. Text message from an unknown number. Hey Trevor, heard you're having credit problems. Might want to check your mail when you get home. A friend. I stared at the message. Someone else knew about the fraud. Someone with my phone number who wasn't in my contacts list. I called the number back. Went straight to voicemail. Generic automated message. No name. This was bigger than I'd thought. Marcus wasn't working alone. I needed help. Someone I could trust completely. Someone with investigative experience. Technical Sergeant Lisa Chen worked in base security. We'd served together in Iraq. She was thorough, discreet, and had access to resources I didn't. I found her in the security office reviewing incident reports. Chen, I need a favor. Unofficial. She looked up from her paperwork. What kind of unofficial? I showed her the credit alerts, the PayPal statements, the network logs. Explained the timeline. Watched her expression change from curiosity to professional focus. This is federal fraud, she said. Identity theft across state lines. You need to report this through proper channels. I will. But I need more first. Need to know how deep this goes. She studied the documents again. What do you need from me? Help me trace the Columbus address. See if it's connected to anyone else on base. Check if there are other victims. Chen nodded slowly. Give me 48 hours. I'll run some quiet inquiries. I left her office feeling slightly better. Having an ally made the situation more manageable. But I still had questions that needed answers. That evening, I called my bank back home. Requested a complete credit report. Wanted to see if there were other accounts I hadn't discovered yet. The report arrived by email 2 hours later. 12 pages of financial history. I read every line twice. Found the third anomaly on page 7. A car loan application. Submitted October 1st. Denied due to insufficient income verification. But the application had been submitted. Someone had tried to finance a vehicle using my identity. The dealership was in Columbus, Ohio. Same city as the fake address. I was looking at a systematic identity theft operation. Multiple attempts to exploit my credit. Coordinated timing to maximize damage before I could respond. My phone rang. Unknown number again. Trevor Callahan, who's asking? Someone who knows what Marcus Rivera did to you, and what he's planning to do next. The line went dead. I sat in the dark barracks, processing what I'd just heard. Someone was watching this situation unfold. Someone with information about Marcus's plans. The next morning, Chen found me in the chow hall. "We need to talk," she said, privately. We walked to an empty conference room. She closed the door and activated the white noise generator. "I ran that Columbus address through our databases," she said. "It's a mail forwarding service, registered to a company called Midwest Logistics. But here's the interesting part." She handed me a printout. "Midwest Logistics is owned by Elena Vasquez. Ring any bells?" I studied the name, didn't recognize it immediately. Then I remembered. Rivera's ex-wife is Elena. Different last name now, but same person. That's what I thought, so I dug deeper. Elena Vasquez has been running this mail forwarding operation for 8 months. Multiple clients. All military personnel currently deployed. The scope of the operation was becoming clear. This wasn't just about me. Marcus and his ex-wife were targeting deployed soldiers systematically, using their access to personal information and the victim's inability to monitor their credit in real time. "How many others?" I asked. "At least 6 that I can confirm. Probably more. They're hitting different bases, different cycles. Staying under the radar by spreading the activity across multiple jurisdictions." I felt sick. 6 other soldiers dealing with destroyed credit. Financial chaos waiting for them when they returned home. All because they'd trusted the wrong person. "I'm calling the FBI," Chen said. "This is organized fraud. Federal crime. They need to know." I nodded. But I also knew something else. I wanted Marcus to confess. Wanted him to admit what he'd done. Wanted to hear him explain how he'd betrayed soldiers who'd trusted him with their lives. "Give me one day," I said. "Let me confront him first. Get him talking. Record the conversation." Chen shook her head. "Too dangerous. If he knows you're onto him, he might run. Or destroy." "He doesn't know yet. I've been careful. One conversation. If I can get him to confess, it'll make the FBI's case stronger." She considered this. 24 hours. Then we call the feds regardless." That afternoon, I approached Marcus in the motor pool. He was performing maintenance on a Humvee. Looked up when I walked over. "Hey, Trevor, how's it going?" "Good. Listen, I'm having some weird credit issues. Thought you might have some advice." His expression didn't change, but I noticed his hands pause on the wrench he was holding. "What kind of issues?" "Someone opened accounts in my name, used my social security number. Weird thing is, they used an address in Columbus, Ohio. You ever been to Columbus?" Now his hands stopped moving completely. "No, never been to Ohio. Crazy coincidence, right? I mean, what are the odds someone would pick a random address in a city where my friend's ex-wife happens to live?" Marcus set down the wrench, wiped his hands on a rag. "I don't know what you're talking about." "Elena Vasquez. Midwest Logistics. Ring any bells?" His face went pale. For a moment, neither of us spoke. Then he said the words that confirmed everything I'd suspected. "How much do you know?" "Enough," I said. My phone was recording in my pocket. Had been since I'd walked over to the motor pool. Marcus looked around. Made sure we were alone. "Look, Trevor, it's not what you think." "Really?" "Because I think you've been stealing identities from deployed soldiers. Using our information to open fraudulent accounts. Destroying our credit while we're overseas serving our country." He ran a hand through his hair. "I was desperate, man. Elena left me with nothing. Took half my stuff. I had debts. Child support. I couldn't keep up. So you decided to screw over your fellow soldiers? I never meant for it to go this far. It started small. Just one PayPal account. I was going to pay it back." "One account?" "Marcus, I know about at least 6 other soldiers. How many people have you stolen from?" His shoulders sagged. 12. Maybe 13. The number hit me like a punch. 13 soldiers. 13 families dealing with financial chaos because of this man I'd trusted. "How did you get our information?" "Personnel files. I had access through my admin duties. Social security numbers, addresses, family information. It was all there. And Elena helped you? She needed money too. Her business was failing. I gave her a cut to use her address. Made it look legitimate. I felt rage building in my chest. But I kept my voice steady. How much total? About $40,000. Across all the accounts. $40,000. Stolen from soldiers who were risking their lives overseas. Men and women who trusted him, who'd considered him family. You realize what you've done? These people have families. Kids. They're going to come home to destroyed credit. Ruined financial futures. I know, okay? I feel terrible about it. Not terrible enough to stop. Marcus looked at the ground. I was in too deep. Couldn't figure out how to get out. Well, now you're going to get out. The hard way. His head snapped up. What do you mean? I'm calling the FBI. This is federal fraud, identity theft. You're looking at serious prison time. Wait, Trevor, please, we can work something out. I'll pay everyone back. Make it right. With what money? You just said you were desperate, broke. I'll figure it out, get a loan, sell my car, whatever it takes. I shook my head. Too late for that. You had months to make this right. Instead, you kept stealing. Please, man, think about my kids. If I go to prison, they'll have nothing. Should have thought about that before you started committing felonies. I turned to walk away. Marcus grabbed my arm. Trevor, wait. What if I give you everything? All the account information. Help you contact the other victims. Cooperate fully. I stopped. You're going to do that anyway. When the FBI gets involved. But if I cooperate now, maybe they'll go easier on me. Reduced sentence. Maybe. But that's not my decision to make. I pulled out my phone. Called Chen first. It's time, I said when she answered. I got the confession. He admitted to 13 victims. 40,000 total. Jesus. Okay, I'm calling the FBI now. Where are you? Motor pool. With Marcus. Keep him there. Don't let him leave. I hung up. Marcus was staring at me with desperate eyes. You recorded me, didn't you? Yes. Shit. Trevor, please. I'm begging you. Save it for the judge. 20 minutes later, 2 FBI agents arrived at the base. Agent Miller from the Federal Protective Service led the investigation. Tall woman with sharp eyes and a no-nonsense attitude. Specialist Callahan? I'm Agent Miller. I understand you've uncovered a significant fraud operation. Yes, ma'am. Multiple identity thefts targeting deployed military personnel. She looked at Marcus, who was sitting on a crate looking defeated. And this is the suspect? Staff Sergeant Marcus Webb. He confessed to stealing identities from at least 13 soldiers. I'll need that recording. I handed over my phone. Agent Miller listened to the conversation. Her expression grew darker with each passing minute. This is extensive, she said finally. We'll need to coordinate with multiple jurisdictions. Ohio, where the accomplice is located. Possibly others. What happens now? We arrest Sergeant Webb. Begin the process of identifying all victims. Start working on restitution and credit repair. She walked over to Marcus. Staff Sergeant Webb, you're under arrest for identity theft, wire fraud, and conspiracy. You have the right to remain silent. As she read him his rights, I felt a mixture of satisfaction and sadness. Satisfaction that justice was being served. Sadness that it had come to this. Over the next week, Agent Miller's team worked quickly. They arrested Elena Vasquez in Columbus, seized computers and financial records, identified all 13 victims. The scope was staggering. Marcus had been running this operation for 8 months, targeting soldiers from multiple units, always choosing people who were deployed and unlikely to check their credit regularly. He was smart about it, Agent Miller told me during one of our interviews. Kept the amount small enough to avoid immediate detection. Used different addresses across multiple states. If you hadn't caught that PayPal notification, he might have continued for months. What's going to happen to the victims? We're working with the financial institutions to reverse all fraudulent charges. The credit bureaus will remove negative marks. It'll take time, but we'll make everyone whole. And Marcus? He's cooperating fully, providing account information, passwords, everything. His attorney is pushing for a plea deal. What kind of sentence is he looking at? Federal guidelines suggest 5 to 7 years. Could be less with cooperation and restitution. I thought about Marcus's kids, his ex-wife, the mess he'd created for everyone. Agent Miller, I want to help the other victims. Some of them don't even know yet. We're dwunk yet, contacting everyone. But if you want to reach out personally, that would be helpful, soldier to soldier. Over the following days, I called each victim, explained what had happened, helped them understand the steps they needed to take. Most were shocked. A few were angry. All were grateful that someone had caught it. Sergeant Rodriguez from Fort Bragg summed it up best. I trusted that bastard with my life. Never thought he'd steal my identity. 3 weeks later, Marcus pled guilty to all charges. The judge sentenced him to 4 years in federal prison. He was also ordered to pay full restitution to all victims. Elena Vasquez received 2 years for her role in the conspiracy. As I watched Marcus led away in handcuffs, I felt no satisfaction. Just emptiness, a friendship destroyed, trust shattered, lives disrupted. But justice had been served. 13 soldiers would get their financial lives back. The system had worked. Agent Miller approached me after the sentencing. You did good work, Specialist. Your attention to detail saved a lot of people from financial ruin. Just glad we caught him. We've seen cases like this before. Military personnel are attractive targets. Deployed, trusting, often not monitoring their credit closely. You might consider sharing your experience. Help educate other soldiers. I nodded. I'll think about it. That evening, I called Chen. It's over. 4 years for Marcus. 2 for Elena. Good. How are you holding up? Fine. Tired. Ready to focus on the mission again. The other victims? All getting their credit restored. Financial institutions are cooperating. Everyone should be whole within 60 days. And you? Any lasting damage? I checked my credit report one more time. Clean. All fraudulent accounts removed. Credit score back to normal. I'm good. Better than good. I learned something important. What's that? Trust, but verify. Even with people you consider family. 6 months later, I stood in the same barracks room at RAF Lakenheath. Different roommate now. Staff Sergeant Williams from Ohio. Quiet guy who kept to himself. The PayPal incident felt like ancient history. My credit score had fully recovered. The financial institutions had removed every trace of Marcus's fraud from my records. I'd received letters from 8 of the 13 victims, all thanking me, all sharing updates on their recovery. Sergeant Rodriguez had bought his first house. Corporal Martinez had gotten engaged. Their lives were moving. Marcus was serving his sentence at a federal facility in Pennsylvania. I'd heard through mutual contacts that he was working in the prison library, learning computer programming. Maybe he'd find a legitimate way to use those skills when he got out. Elena Vasquez had been released after 18 months. Good behavior. She'd moved back to California. Started working at a nonprofit helping veterans with financial literacy. Agent Miller had kept his word about education. I'd spoken at 3 different bases about identity theft prevention. Shared my story with hundreds of soldiers. The response was always the same. Shock, then determination to protect themselves. Never thought it could happen to me, was the most common reaction. It can happen to anyone, I always replied. Stay vigilant. The Federal Protective Service had used my case as a training example. My attention to detail had become part of their curriculum for investigating military identity theft. I'd also started something new. I created an encrypted messaging group for deployed families. A secure space where soldiers could share financial tips, warning signs, and support each other. The group had grown to over 200 members across 4 continents. Chen had rotated back to the States. Fort Carson, Colorado. We still talked weekly. He was dating someone new, a teacher from Colorado Springs. Said she made him laugh. "You ever think about Marcus?" he asked during our last call. "Sometimes. Mostly I wonder why he thought he could get away with it. Desperation makes people stupid. Or greed. Maybe both." I'd learned to sleep better. The hypervigilance had faded. I still checked my credit report monthly, but it was routine now. Not obsession. My was ending in 3 months. Orders to Fort Hood, Texas. A new unit. New mission. Fresh start. The evening light filtered through the barracks window. Golden hour in England. I opened my laptop and checked the encrypted group. 17 new messages. Soldiers, sharing tips about monitoring their finances while deployed. One message caught my attention, a Marine from Camp Pendleton warning about a new scam targeting military families. Someone was calling spouses, claiming to be from the Red Cross, asking for personal information. I forwarded the warning to Agent Miller, added my own alert to the group. The cycle continued, soldiers protecting soldiers. My phone buzzed, text from my sister back home. She was getting married in the fall, wanted me to be her best man. I smiled and typed back, wouldn't miss it. Life was good, simple, honest. The trust I'd lost with Marcus had been replaced by something stronger. A network of people who looked out for each other, who understood that vigilance wasn't paranoia. It was survival. I closed the laptop and prepared for evening chow. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, new missions, new opportunities to serve. But tonight, for the first time in months, everything felt exactly as it should be. It was finally over, and the silence felt earned.